Okay, so just in advance, the format is as usual. We'll basically go on for the first 20-25 minutes and then open up for a question. Then continue on for probably another 10-15 minutes, and then we'll open the floor for more questions and general chat. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to raise your hand when the floor opens, and otherwise, just type it in the chat and we'll pick the questions up.
And that's Victor here. I'm sitting right near Dado. Wanted to say to our community that today we're having a special fireside chat when we'll be talking about a lot about use cases, interesting ones. So if you are willing to brainstorm with us on a particular industry inside DeFi space, please propose and we will come up with something here. But that is something I wish we could do after the first 30 minutes.
Victor, that fire seems like it's really roaring. Are there any barbecues going on at the same time?
Already ended them.
Oh, already ended them. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess it's time to start. So welcome everybody to the Humanode Fireside. Today we'll be talking about biometrics for decentralized finance. And Dato, do you want to open? Dato?
Yep. Yeah.
Yes, let's go for some opening insights from you.
Great. So, guys, today we wanted to go over various use cases concerning biometrics and liveness detection mechanism in a decentralized finance space, and a lot of things that could be done and could possibly change the industry from within, because we introduce a way to determine who is a unique person, and like this has been a very ongoing problem in various DeFi projects. So yeah, today we're going to be discussing various problems to solve and various projects that could arise from bringing unique biometrics to blockchain.
Okay. What I'd like to start with is the concept that this speculative market really enjoys is farming. Guys, this is something we came up with in talks with our partners, who will get fine about later on. And the thing is that imagine there is a company that creates a pool, right? For example, on Balancer, and it wants to attract more token holders to this pool in order for increasing the liquidity of it. The thing is that usually when the project is pretty early, it may happen so that there is just one person or two people coming with a big stake of tokens, and they just get into the pool and take all the rewards that were created to attract number of people to the pool. That happens always. We know that behemoths of farming that exist in our market. And eventually, the people who don't have a lot of capital in crypto, who haven't yet created a fund, they just come to that pool and no rewards left for them because usually the amount of tokens for rewards is limited. What we can do here is for liquidity mining programs, which are temporarily or even those that take half a year, if a person wants to engage in this liquidity mining program, he has to go through biometric identification, of course, and liveness detection to prove that he's unique living human being. What we could do after that is limit the number of rewards each unique human being can get. This will ensure that the distribution of rewards, which are created to attract more users to the pool, and to spread the information about the project that it now enabled the rewards for the pool. Basically, we could limit the number of tokens per each person, and in that way distribute the rewards of the liquidity mining program more evenly, without leaving small token holders with $1 of rewards.
But I mean, Victor, um, is the whales on the liquidity pool mining is such a big issue?
Well, it's not an issue. There are also, the players in this market. But if the goal of liquidity mining program to attract new users, for example, this becomes an issue because there is no reason for small token holders to even bother to go and stake their tokens into the pool, getting all that impermanent loss for getting $1 of rewards. So yeah, in case the goal is not just to attract the capital into the pool, but to increase the user base, then yes, it becomes an issue.
But I mean, but what about disproportionate mining programs when you're kind of trying to stake more than others to get more than others, not just because they're human beings, but because you have more stake in it.
Yeah, that's why I think that the reward distribution shouldn't be even. It shouldn't be like completely proportional as well, but there should be limits for whales, or at least we could ensure that this person gets at least some rewards despite the fact that he's a small token holder.
So basically, um, what you're saying in a nutshell is that using biometrics here to identify that it actually is a live human being, you're able to achieve more in the sense of, if you achieve your goal, as like if we're trying to bring more users, then you will actually be able to reach out to more users rather than just a limited few, which of course, in a sense is a whole concept behind Humanode to really um, limit it so that one person equals one node, and that we have a more decentralized and more uh, human based rather than capital based system.
Well, it's all about the point of view. How do you want to make your network? If you're aiming for proper decentralization with like a lot of participants and you want them to be equal, yeah, that's your choice. But probably if you're trying to base your network on some high net worth individuals, with big stakes, for some people that might seem more stable than properly decentralized network, when you're doing a liquidity program, yeah, that's something that you have to like orient yourself at.
Yep, and not going very far from decentralized exchanges. Another thing we're going to propose is the airdrop that is pretty popular that 1inch Exchange did, Uniswap did. You see that people use crypto differently, and there are ways to cheat in those airdrops. How? You create multiple wallets, you trade through like tens or 20 wallets, and eventually they distribute the same amount of tokens as an airdrop to their users per wallet, not per person. What you get is that one person getting 20x more rewards just because he used the decentralized exchange from 20 different wallets before the airdrop happened. As you see, our use case here is pretty obvious. Everybody will get the same amount if they go through biometric identification.
David, any thoughts there? Dada?
Um, well, I was thinking introducing the next use case that we've been discussing a lot lately, and it's connected to lending protocols. Yes, you just so basically, like, there's a problem that all the lending protocols, they can orient themselves to the funds that people kind of like leave and stake to receive more funds as a, like as a credit, and if you don't really know a person behind this, or you're not sure that this is like a unique real human being, then you're not able to build like a credit history system where you evaluate different like public addresses through how they acted before, so that most of the lending protocols of today work in a way that you have to put some money in, like before you get some money on top. But here, even if the protocol doesn't know your identity, just knows that you're like a unique biological human being, then it can like use your credit history to kind of determine whether it can lend you more money that you're eligible for. And that's like a huge use case for any kind of loan protocol out there, basically.
Yeah, here we're not only speaking about the distribution of rewards, but we're talking about if the person has a great credit score without even knowing who the person is, he can eventually put less collateral because we know that the person will give the money back. And this is like direct incentive, and the person can get more revenue from his DeFi strategies if the lending protocol integrates the functionality like that.
It won't be boasting saying that like since blockchain appeared like as a separate way to kind of contain ledger for financial operations, there hasn't been like a proper protocol without that like uh, collects a credit history or your credit score, as Victor has mentioned here, without knowing who you are. And I mean, creating like a first loan protocol that distinguishes only your biological existence and gives you credit based on that. That was something that was not achieved before uh, Humanode. Yeah, and we're really aiming to deliver this technology to our partners out there.
And just out of curiosity, and obviously this would be a combination with existing uh, products or products to be. But I'm wondering how could one build a credit history? I mean, I know just in simple terms. I bought a house. Of course, the banks go through all my financial statements, and earnings, where I'm earning from, where I could possibly earn from, so on and so forth. And they, of course, threaten to take everything away and a kidney too if I don't pay my loans. So just wondering if there are um, actual programs out there that are being built on this concept of lending.
Well, like any single credit organization, or like even like in a country, right? Or
Hmm.
even on the international level, there's some honeypot with identities that have like their own credit score
Hmm.
everywhere. Any single one of us who have ever used any kind of loans has it, and our identities are basically saved and spread through all different international organizations, so that they know that they have taken a loan and failed to like return it, that you're not eligible for any kind of loan in like any other bank or country. Same goes here. Basically, imagine you want to get a loan for the first time. You're doing it through biometrics, right? And yeah, you go on, and at first the protocol will ask you to deliver some kind of collateral because it doesn't know you. It knows that only that you're like a unique human being, that you exist, but how good you are at returning loans, it doesn't know. So with time, as you've done like several different kind of loans and you've returned them all, the protocol will basically distinguish that this human being that is alive has taken three loans and returned three of them in time. And based on those conditions, it can lower the necessary collateral for you to take a loan. So you'll be able to take the same amount of money next time and not have to like put in the same amount of collateral. Maybe with time, if a person always delivers his payments on time, and returns all the money, the protocol might even be able to give him some loans without any kind of collateral. But the thing is that if this person tries to, use his reputation to take a lot of money and then not deliver the money back, basically his biometrics will go to the special honeypot that will um, disable him from taking any kind of loan from any kind of decentralized protocol in the future. And at the same time, no one is going to know his identity, but his biological traits are going to be there. Do you feel what I'm saying?
Yep, yep. That seems logical, and obviously, uh, when cryptocurrency is discussed, let's say, because like I live in Japan, right? So in Japan, when the various banking organizations and Ministry of Finance talk about cryptocurrency, they don't see it as a um, financial system that would really work because the system really is not able to, or as it is not able to offer some of the basic financial services that they see uh, as essential. And one of the key factors that is always brought up is loans, lending. So, I mean, if by using biometrics in a reliable way, if it is able to open this path, it actually might change how some regulatory entities view decentralized finance. So, do you have any other use cases?
Oh, for sure. I mean, there are a lot of industries in DeFi space, and the next one I'd like to slightly cover is insurance. I think that well, not a lot of words needed here. Basically, if you are uh, if you're like financially stable person in the decentralized world, you can have the same insurance coverage for less amount of capital needed, right? Basically, this is pretty much the same as credit score system, but for insurance. And again, it brings us to the fact that the person who is long in the insurance market and crypto is able to get better rates and increase his API again.
What type of insurance would you imagine being used for this? I mean, there's a whole wide range of different types of insurance, anything from health insurance to life insurance to insurance of a product to artwork or biological means.
Any type of insurance that is like bindable to a person. And actually, because like the protocol in Humanode will determine um, that you are you and that you're like a living person. There's like a whole bunch of insurance fraud that it won't be available to exercise against this system.
That is actually very true. Very true.
But the most widespread type of insurance in DeFi space is, of course, the protection against smart contract risk, right? Of course, this is something that nobody can control and that doesn't depend on the person himself. But there are a number of protocols competing between each other, and we do not actually discuss the such a metric from traditional IT, which is called lifetime value. But this is something those insurance coverage protocols could use. I mean, to lower the rates of that kind of protection for a person who has already great lifetime value in the protocol and who brought the protocol a lot of money. This is something to increase the competitiveness.
Good. Donna, do you want to go with one more, or do you want to open for questions?
I mean, if there are any.
Okay, let's see. Do we have any questions at this point? If not, okay. So we have lending, we have insurance. What else do we have?
Well, we have also liquidity pools.
Liquidity pools, yeah.
Airdrops for DeFi projects.
And
most importantly, we have marketplaces. Actually, like marketplace solutions were one of the first use cases that we aimed for, because one of the partners that approached us first was a marketplace. And basically, the use case for marketplaces is pretty simple. So if you're trying to like pull off some kind of fraud, right? And you're a new shop on a marketplace and you pulled off the fraud, okay. Then an ordinary marketplace would ban you, of course, but you can easily create a new shop and conduct your fraudulent operations once again. And the thing about this is that if shops are run by shopkeepers that gone through biometrics liveness detection, they, even if they like fail and they're caught and they're banned from the system, they won't be able to reopen the shop because their biometrics will be already in. So they'll have to use another person, but eventually that person is going to be blocked again if they try to do something fraudulent. And yeah, blocking biometrics is the way to go for marketplaces.
It's very true. I mean, not necessarily decentralized finance here, but it's just I was laughing at an article a couple weeks ago was talking about various Airbnb um, fraud cases where they had people offering uh, homes for usage in Airbnb, and there are like 10 places or 10 people are offering a very similar home. And when somebody rented it and went to it, I think it was a group of Boy Scouts rented it and went there, it was basically a field with nothing there. And the Airbnb spokespeople were saying, they're trying to block, find new ways to block all these fake IDs that keep popping up, but it is a relatively challenging task. But as you're saying, in the marketplace, if people wanting to lend their property for Airbnb or whatever, and they had to do it through biometrics, well, it would be hard unless they had a family with 100 people and they're all willing to stake their biometrics.
Oh yeah, the thing about this, Shannon, is that for Airbnb, for example,
Hmm.
a centralized solution for them is okay. Like they can go to a biometric company that does liveness detection, and boom, they have like biometrics inside. And even if they fail, for example, they can
Hmm.
always like delete somebody manually from the server. And
Yeah.
here we're talking about decentralized private biometrics, and even though we caught like even if hypothetically we catch a fraudulent agent, we still don't know his identity. We only know his kind of biological traits, and
Hmm.
it even makes the game fair for them.
That's very true. It's very true.
And I'd like to continue to talk about that fraudulent malicious people, but in
Hmm.
other terms, because you can see the hacks for millions of dollars every week happening in the DeFi space. And of course, it's hard to onboard each and every user and his biometric identity to the DeFi protocol, but hackers are not going to to go through all of this analysis of the code, finding flaws to hack the protocol for $10,000, right? They're looking for bigger amounts of money. And the thing is, if you have like the verification of people above, for example, the $500,000, I mean, people who want to use the protocol and to send transactions above $500,000, you could actually catch the hackers that way because either they won't go for it because they will eventually be banned in the protocol and they won't be able to try another hack after that, or you could ban the person from the protocol. Of course, you couldn't track the person himself, but the how it's done today, how white hackers are doing it today, I think we could make life easier for them.
Hmm. Well, just as a, a comment, I totally agree with you that smart people don't go for small amounts of money. I mean, as I taught my kids, if you're going to steal something and if you're going to get caught stealing something, make sure it's worth more than $5 million.
Oh, that's a great father you are.
I mean, if you're going to spend the same amount of jail time, might as well, go for something big. But anyway, setting that aside, okay. And do we have any others before we go into questions? Dato? Okay, then might as well open for some questions. If
Yep, I think
anybody,
it's time to.
yeah, open it up and go into the questions and brainstorming. So, if anybody has any questions, feel free to raise your hand, speak up, type it out. And don't be shy.
People are being shy all the time here. So there's also like another thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically ordinary payments.
Mm-hmm.
Like PayPal. Basically when you're sending a payment to an organization or to an individual, and that individual is bound to some legal entity or like a country that he's living in. And if you know that he's a real unique human being, you're basically able to address him directly, and you know that this person is definitely going to receive this payment for you, and can like be legally registered as a proper payment for this person, and not just some random public address created on the decentralized network.
I think this can also make lives easier for decentralized payment systems. Uh, as you know, once you send the transaction, it is almost immediately finalized, especially if we're talking about modern protocols, not probabilistic ones like Bitcoin. That means that you can get the money back, right? If you send them to the wrong wallet. But I think that there are some ways, to create some kind of decentralized organization which will say, "Hey, man, you received the money. This is not your money. That was a mistake. Please, please send us back again. We know that you're a real human being, kind one, and caring for others."
And most likely 50% of the people will send it back.
Yeah. Other than that, we could just their biometrics, their hash could just be put on the list of bad people that we can also create, by the way. Private bad people. Yeah.
Private bad people.
Who don't return money that they don't own.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise known as the lucky bastard list. So, shall I start randomly addressing people to speak up?
Yeah, it's your hobby, Sheldon. Come on, go on. I see
I
that
know
Neil
it's
has joined us today. He might be your victim today.
yes. Neil, do you have any questions?
Oh no,
Any thoughts? Any
I'm being
comments?
put on spot here. I'm not even
Yeah.
sure if my mic is working.
Oh, it's working perfectly.
All right, all right. I don't really have a question per se, but that list that you were speaking of, is that a road that you want to take, or was it just banter?
It's most likely just banter, but
All right.
but depending on who actually uses the protocol, they might. I guess that's a possibility for them to build it into their system, especially if they're trying to set, let's say, credit scores or to score their users.
Yeah.
Like, It is a
But
possibility.
that's then up to the individual building the application or something like that, right?
Most likely, yes.
Yeah, because I mean there's also then a little bit of the moral question: is money being sent to you that wasn't sent to you? I mean, you could argue once it's sent to you, even by accident, it belongs to you, right? But maybe I'm the guy that might do it for less than 5 million.
It always comes down to the moral question here, and obviously, depending on what country you are, like there are, certain banking laws. I know in Japan, um, if somebody pays you, let's see, there's a case a couple of years ago where, actually, I think it was 2 years ago, where I think it was NEC or some big company was going to make a payment. They made a payment worth a couple $1 million to the wrong account, and this was actually in a banking account. I don't know how they made the mistake, but they sent it to the wrong company, and it was like a really small company. And they ended up fighting in court in order to get the money back because of the complexity of the laws. And the small company said, no, we actually deserve that. We did that much work for NEC, and they couldn't prove us wrong. I think eventually they ended up returning the money minus 20% or something. But I guess it really depends on the regulation of the country and the financial regulations.
Yeah, makes sense. But I mean, in that case, it's not really different than other projects where you could potentially blacklist certain addresses based on your own interpretation of what they did, right?
Dara, what do you think? Datu?
Yep. Well, it really depends on the particular use case, right? I mean, any protocols can ban malicious people. I'm not sure that you can take the money back, right? We don't have reversible transactions yet, and
Yep.
it would be pretty strange if we had them. But yeah, we were talking about having the list of bad people who you better not interact with, and send them into your blacklist. No, actually, Niels, this is just one of the last use cases we're talking about. Is as if brainstorming. I've just opened all the industries in DeFi, going from the first to the last of them, and yeah, I mean it's interesting eventually to find out where the most value is, and it seems like it lies in the lending protocols and insurance protocols when you can give better rates to people with great lifetime value for the protocol or credit score, and also a lot of things can be done in terms of airdrops or liquidity mining programs to better distribute, to have better user base. That's what they're created for, right?
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting stuff to think about. As long as ultimately people have their own decision on how they use that data, because I think there's even some projects or some developers. I think one of them, I think it was Julian Loop or something. My French is really bad. But I think he did an airdrop for one of his projects, and I think literally all addresses that sold the specific airdrop before a certain date, he excluded them from future airdrops. And it's kind of the same thing where you kind of where one particular user chooses to blacklist a certain group of addresses based on their previous behavior.
Yep, exactly. And if I heard that correctly, there was a question whether it would be completely new applications. Well, in my sense, in my point of view, it would be easier and more lucrative for the parties to integrate our technology into existing protocols, which are all on Ethereum, and our biometrics are EVM compatible.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you for being here, man.
Okay, so let's see. Who wants to be targeted next?
I mean, Johnny's like joining every single fireside, so
yes, I was thinking Johnny would be a good target here. Johnny, do you have any questions, comments,
Happy to be targeted.
ideas?
No questions from my side. I agree that the reputation score is a good use case for the product for Humanode. I was thinking about OTC trades because a lot of people are reluctant to sign into exchanges and give all their details, and they trade with random people on the internet, Bitcoin and stuff. So it would be really nice to know that the person behind the trade that I'm trading with is an actual human being and actually has made trades before, didn't cheat, didn't run away. It's also useful for escrow, someone who can mediate an exchange between two people, anything that has to do with with reputation, even dating apps, by the way. Nice to know that the person you're about to date, go on a blind date, hasn't done bad things in the past. And I just wonder if Humanode will turn out to be the kind of decentralized police of blacklisting this industry. I don't know if it's good or bad, but it is what it is, maybe.
Actually, for blind dating apps, it's also good to know if the person is a real human being or not.
so that you're not dating an android.
Yes. Or a fake account.
Telegram too. A lot of groups really want to block like anything that is not human, right? All the bots that jump in and spam, and all the marketing bots. It could be part of a good instant messaging app that just blocks anything that is not human.
Oh yeah, well that's like a use case that goes beyond DeFi, but like yeah,
That's something we could touch on the other podcast.
Yeah, and that definitely is something that would be good. So, I mean,
like,
go ahead.
I, about the messaging. I mean, this could have been already done by like centralized companies. I don't know why they haven't done that before. Maybe because tying your messaging to your biological tricks is something inconvenient.
Yeah, they just do social vouching in WeChat. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I couldn't get there for months.
still can get there.
Well, yeah, I mean, then again, from the user's point of view, I mean, if I had to provide my, biometric data to let's say Zoom or uh, Facebook Messenger, I probably wouldn't be part of it because I don't trust any of those companies with my biometric data, especially those companies that tie your information, all the cookies and sites you've seen or products you've seen to advertisement. I definitely would not want them to have my biometric data. But if it is,
Oh,
pseudonymous,
yeah, such kind of advertising is still an evil use case from my point of view.
hmm.
Well, from point of view of advertisers, you get the information that they think you need.
or they
So
think you need, or they think they can make money off of. But yes, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, from those people who are present here on this call, can those of you who would willingly give their like biometric traits to a decentralized protocol for financial purposes, can you please raise your hand? I'm just interested. I mean, if you're willing to give your biometric traits to a decentralized protocol for financial services, would you do that? I'm just pretty interested in that.
I would, if I'm certain that the protocol is private and it doesn't reveal my identity and everything is working well, I think I would.
I think for myself, I would be very skeptical against it, just based on previous experiences. But I wouldn't totally rule it out, but it's not something I'm most interested in.
So Neil, you had kind of experience that ruined your experience. Can you describe it in detail?
I can't go too much into detail, but just my experiences with some centralized institutions and the way they handle data in general. Yeah, I'm more interested in the more decentralized applications, right? Decentralized.
But the thing is that we are leaving our biometric traits practically like everywhere. If we uh, have a phone call to a centralized company, or we're just putting some photos online, and isn't that like a breach of your privacy?
Sorry, I got a little bit distracted. There was someone walking through the street
Yeah, I mean,
under the influences of something. Um, and
so you sound like a person who's concerned about your own privacy. What do you think about people that are leaving like their photos online and talking, which is also like a biometric trait, like the sound of your voice?
Yeah.
Like, do you think people really care about their privacy nowadays?
I think a lot less than the majority thinks that they care, because I mean, you leave a whole bunch of traces, obviously. I think it's slowly growing, but I think the majority of the people still don't really care about privacy based on their behavior.
Yep, and our lead engineer thinks that we lost that war long ago, and we're just fighting with the spirit.
Are we?
Yeah, we've been fighting. The great thing, despite the fact that we're living in photos and biometric traits everywhere, biometrics have gone a long way, and it's the photo is never enough. Right now, we're using 3D models of the face, and you can get that from the photo. That's the good thing. Not talking about liveness detection during the process.
But I also see like the appearance of a secondary market in that DeFi space, in terms of like a person who has like a awesome credit score, and like has an awesome insurance score, and he's being loyal and absolutely outright in every single services that he used through his biometrics, and basically he can kind of vouch for people, like say, hey, I'm okay, you can see my credit history here, and I know this guy hasn't been long for a long time, but maybe I can vouch for this person, so he gets like more uh, insurance, or needs to put less collateral to receive loans or stuff like this, or even taking out loans for other human beings, and like having a small company of getting loans from protocols because he has less collateral, and owning in escrow deals.
Yeah, so the main thing here is that you can actually increase your yield by using those strategies. And yep, Johnny, thank you very much for that take. I'm writing that down because OTC markets is something pretty easy in terms of integration for us, but it's something pretty big in terms of the volume they're having.
Sounds like a natural use case for this.
Yep, for local bitcoins, for example. Yeah.
So we have about 7 more minutes left, 6 more minutes left. Dato, do you have any closing comments?
Well, I'll probably say that all this sounds very like good integrations for decentralized space, but like the most benefit that I see in this is like uh, having a competition with centralized services in terms of UI and UX, like user experience. Because I mean, like if an ordinary person wants to interact with loan protocols, he has to have a paper wallet or digital wallet to feel that his stuff is secure. And I mean, if you're capable of delivering like biometric based the user experience for all those decentralized finance services, then maybe one day the user experience and interface will be as easy as and as natural and in centralized services. And then this is like the biggest benefit I think biometrics can bring into the space as a whole, regardless of which sphere we're talking about, because like the end user is always like he's going for the easier experience, the smoother experience, and when you have to deal with all those paper wallets, all those digital
Right,
wallets,
we're losing like 95% of user base because
yeah,
of that.
it's just too much things for an ordinary person. And if he's able to take a loan by just scanning his face, like he's already used to doing on most of the flagman
Banking
devices
applications.
and devices, if we manage to bridge that gap, I think like DeFi space will have a proper engagement with the audience, and it'll bring a lot of users that were not able to participate in the whole thing because they were just afraid that somehow their money will be stolen from them.
Victor, do you have any closing comments?
Yep, I'm here. My closing comments are just an idea. We could have, a little, not a quiz, but a survey, where we state all those use cases we've just covered to find out, as as a experiment, what people think will be the most useful, and we will be putting it first on the list in terms of our future integrations.
I'm personally betting on loans and credit because I mean it's a thing that everyone loves, and there's like too much money held on to the collateral, and basically all the collateral just gets frozen, and there's no way to distinguish whether it's the same person using the same like public address. Yeah, it's going to be a game changer in my opinion.
I tend to agree there. So, once again, I would like to thank everybody for joining us for this fireside. We'll be having our next one in 2 weeks from now. Donna, do you have any ideas on what you want to talk about? Do you want to move on and talk about biometrics for other services?
I think what we're going to do is we're going to put a survey for the people to choose from, different kinds of topics that we can cover. Yeah, and then we'll, go with what people choose.
Okay, that sounds good. So once again, thank you all. We still have like a couple minutes left here, but we'll wrap it up. And if anybody has any comments, anything to say, just feel free to jump in and talk, and if nobody has anything, then we'll just slowly fade away.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, then, guys. Hear you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we are fading away.
Fading away.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.